You just press play on the Last Breath Huntcast, home of the Huntroversy. We're here to entertain, educate, and engage. And in case you didn't know, you only live once. But if you do it right, once is enough. Don't waste it. What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 58 of the Last Breath Huntcast. My guest today is right across from me, one you all know all too well, and that would be Garrett.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. I'm fired up today, so get ready.
And we're going to talk about something pretty interesting today that we have not talked about yet, well, on here. We've talked about it a lot of it, to and fro from work, when we're doing deer stuff, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to cover Garrett's elk hunt today. So he's going on an elk hunt when?
And we're leaving the very last day of September, and we'll be gone through the first week of October. So we're leaving that Friday, which actually is October 1st. And then we'll be back that following weekend. So
you have about 3 weeks.
Yes. It's coming close, man. That's a crazy thing. It's like anything, whether it's deer season or a vacation or a trip like this, it's, you plan it. We planned this hunt 16 months ago, and it's like, oh shit, it's like not
20 days.
Yeah, and now it's getting down to like, is all your stuff ready? Are you ready? You're going through your gear list and your checklist and everything.
But we're going to kind of get into that. Are you ready is actually one of the questions we're going to be answering today. But before we dive into the podcast, we just wanted to make sure you guys know that every single Monday all year long, you guys can listen to a brand new episode of the Last Breath Huntcast on iTunes, Libsyn, Spotify, or you could watch us on YouTube. So those are your options. And like we said, today's topic is Garrett's first elk hunt. We're going to cover the gear. We're going to cover his prep. We're going to cover his pre-trip mentality and his expectations for the trip. So my first question I have for you here is start back in the beginning. How long has it been? Because for those of you guys that are listening that don't know this, I know this, and elk's been your dream hunt for a long, long, long time. When did you start getting into your head that you would like to go elk hunting, and why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. My wife asked me this, I don't know, several weeks ago. And interesting, I don't know where my infatuation came, or like this drive, this yearning to hunt them. I've never seen an elk in person, not even in a zoo. I mean, just on the TV, on the phone, on the laptop, There's been opportunities. Actually, I take that back. You know what? I have seen a live elk. I have, with Jeff in South Dakota when we were hunting for turkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's like 4 cows and a spike bull. Thought it was the coolest damn thing ever. They're like 1,000 yards away. We're out here hunting turkeys in the Black Hills, which are the Black Mountains. I mean, seriously, need to get that name changed. And we saw these elk bedded on the side of a mountain out there. But I have. But I would say this really took hold in college, like that early college year. Because before then, man, me and you were still really earning our stripes in the whitetail woods.
Yep.
And like everybody should, and as college came, that's when we kind of had our turnkey aha, and me and you really decided to make a big push for this. And with this came the expanse of the industry. And I think the first allure is the fact that, most often, even though this hunt's a little bit different, but you're getting to chase them before deer season. Like a lot of guys go in September, and it's like, man, could you like I know how amazing we felt in the years past, last year and a couple years before, and we've gone in antelope hunting or mule deer hunting before season.
Yeah.
And it's like you have that huge gust and confidence going into deer season because you've already been on a hunt, and some of them have been really successful. And I was just like, God, could you? I mean, you're pretty much like, it's all downhill from here. I killed a bull. Like,
right, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I still want to slap one of my hit list whitetails, but like, can the season
happen,
really?
I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Now, talk to me like January 5th after we've hunted for 80 days and neither of us had opportunity with our bow. I will be distraught. But like, I that's part of the big appeal, It's like, God, these Western seasons typically open, especially before the going gets good here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And the elk, to me, the style of hunt just really seems appealing. It's for a Midwesterner, for a flat-footed Illinois boy, to me, it has all of the appeal of turkey hunting with all of the appeal of whitetail hunting. And what do I mean by that? Turkey hunting is so awesome because of that interaction, the vocalization, the working that bird, and I'm talking because I haven't hunted elk. Like, we've got this tom fired up and it's on a limb. And so for the elk situation, it'd be an elk in a bluff or on a ridge or in a oh, he's bugling his ass off. Like, we're going to get around to where he can't see us, just like we would a turkey, and then set up and get him to come in, Yeah. And just like some toms do, most toms do, they gobble their ass the whole way in. So like an elk, I feel like it's that same appeal where it's very reactive hunting instead of I guess, ambushing or sedentary hunting, which whitetail, you have so much investment in the front half of the season. Like, you do everything you can possible to get yourself into position strategically, calculated, but with turkey hunting, the way we have come to hunt, and with elk hunting, it's aggressive, I'm seeking out that animal. So there's that appeal from the turkey side. And then what I was saying about the whitetail appeal is that, and forgive me for saying this, but that trophy factor, that awe factor.
Yep.
Like, don't get me wrong, we love shooting toms, but you know what I mean?
When an elk is sitting above our skinning table when we're cleaning our whitetails, and he's half, got one of those nice pedestal mounts hanging in the corner above our butchering table,
right,
and we're looking at him while we're skinning our whitetails out, it's going to look a lot better than a turkey.
Well, here's the thing. There's a reason why we call all of us when one of us shoots a hammer deer.
Yep.
And we don't with turkeys. We'll send a text, got one down. Or whatever. Yep. But it's not that I'm giving up my turkey hunt to drive to go see Jeff or Matt or Jesse or Logan. They just killed X,
I think it's just because of the repetitious nature of turkey hunting, and how many times you get an opportunity to kill turkey. There's been many years that all of us have killed multiple turkeys, and so it's we could very easily kill, I think, what year was it? We killed 20-ish birds one year between the 5 or 6 of us.
With some out-of-state hunts.
With some out-of-state hunts and everything. But it's something that happens frequently, and not to dismiss turkeys and shit on turkeys or whatever. That's not what we're trying to do at all, but it is something that, happens regularly compared to killing a hit list buck. It's hard to kill a hit list buck every single year like clockwork. That's a hard thing to do. And so when it happens, it's the ultimate freak out, which an elk, there's your trophy factor.
So yeah, you add up this, all of these things that I just listed, the fact that you hunt them before really our stuff kicks off.
Yep.
Even if you're going on a rifle hunt, because that's very early October, and you add the appeal of that interaction, that like I said, that aggressive style of hunting, the mobile style of hunting, and then the fact, that 6, 7, maybe a little bit bigger, 100-pound animal that has some of the biggest antlers in North America, and the fact that they scream. I mean, it's a bugle, the red stag have the roar, and that's a kind of a grunt or a croak, but I hope that I can just feel that, at least one. I don't care if it's a raghorn that comes in, just have them just blast off, like a big tom does, how it shakes you up. And they get so close and you can hear their feathers shake, to feel that intensity, to have all my hair just stand up on end. And I honestly hope it's not one that I'm going to shoot, because, oh, shit, I better tuck my freaking pant legs in my boots, because if I shoot, my balls are going to fall off, and at least I can find, you know what I mean? Wow. That it just, I don't know. That's I have an idea of what it'll be like, and it's going to come nothing close to the real experience. But it seems like when you talk to, even Shane, he has a glow about him when he talks about elk hunting. And all these other people that have gone west, they're just these amazing journeys, and you can't cheat the mountain. And we're gonna get into that, right? Like, you can't pluck somebody. I don't care, Midwest, Far East, West Coast, South. You can't just drop somebody off and like be able to go get it done.
Yeah, and I think we've done a good job about saying that what you just brought up about you can't cheat the mountain. We've been saying that for several years now, and this brings me back. I always seem to land right back on this argument. So if anybody wants to know my beef with Boone and Crockett and Pope and Young and all of that bullshit, then go back and listen to, I forget, it was one of like the first 6 or 7 episodes that we did. But my biggest thing with trophy anything, especially with whitetails, is everybody knows an excellent whitetail hunter. For me, the 3 best whitetail hunters that I know are my best friends.
But it's not
but there is
the person that killed the biggest deer.
It's not the person that killed the biggest deer, but that's what I like about going out west. You cannot cheat a mountain. You cannot be out of shape and do nothing in preparation for the season and then go and slap a tag on a bull and pack it off. You're not
usually
extremely
rarely,
unless you're very, very wealthy, go out on an insane outfitted hunt where they do all of that stuff for you and get you into position with like a side by side or something like that. But it's like, I just like how it's mano-y-mano, and if you lose, it's okay to admit defeat, but it's the terrain that they're living in is not forgiving. Yeah. It's not flat. It's not easy. It's not a 200-yard walk to a blind.
And even then, even if you do get one down, that is the easy part as far as work goes.
Yep.
Because then you got to pack it out.
Yep.
And that's going to be something that's going to be neat for me to learn and process. And I've been very adamant with the place that we're going. Like, I will be hands-on. And they were extremely clear about it. Like, our guides are, everybody. Just like Shane said, we were the first crowd that went out there and not only dressed, but skinned and quartered our goats, And I understand there's appeal to this, but like I've always worked on something hanging up.
Yeah.
It's going to be different.
Over, yeah.
And it's not going to be impossible, but I've been trying to think about that, and I've watched Corey Jacobson, right? Elk 101. He goes over that. You like peel it off like a rug and you use their hide as like this mat that's clean, and you just make sure that you leave it all open in there. And from there, that's where you do your work. But for us, I built a shed, right, in addition, just for this, so we can string them up 2 legs. They don't spin or twist. We got to figure it out.
We power winch them up.
Yeah.
We got our stainless steel skinning table.
We've got all the stuff right here. But when you're out there, dude, you've got your pack and what's in it, and the other thing is you got to work where they die. It's one thing. Sure, great. Hopefully, he dies like on a grassy hillside in the sun.
Or anywhere that's flat.
Yeah,
Let alone on
he
the
could
side
be
of a
in
hill
like
or
a
a mountain.
freaking crook, squished up against a log, and like you can't just manhandle 700 pounds of dead weight.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like you got to work
hard.
with that. So it'll be interesting, and optimistically, hopefully, I get to do that and work that and see what it's like. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. But like I said, I've told the gal's name's Lynette, the one who I talk to the most, and I just told her, I'm like, I want you to let the guides know, like I'm gonna be hands on, and if anything, I will do it and ask for questions, not help.
Right.
So, we'll see how long they put up with it. But I'm handy with a knife when it comes to whitetail and other things. It's just as long as they, if I'm doing something wrong, they can just tell me, and I'll fix it. So.
It can't be too much different. I think the gutless method is just the only thing. The order in which you're gonna work your knife up the back and then skin him out. I think once you do that big like system, like map it out in your head, I think you'd be fine after that. Just because anatomically it's the same as a deer. It's just freaking big.
Yeah, the gutless method is really interesting, and we don't have to get into it too extensive. But like when we field dress a deer, we start with the exit. And we work our way in between the quarters, and then, we do our thing, and we remove it, and we throw it in the side-by-side, and we go to work at home.
Yep.
But with the gutless method, you actually start the way that Corey had talked, and like a lot of other guys, you start up at the hocks, and you work your way down to create that kind of like Y, if you will. And really, you get the hide off of the hindquarters, but you don't have to worry about like cutting out the butt or like, removing any of the genitals or whatnot, that we do. That's like first step.
Yeah.
So it's kind of,
That's a good point.
it's interesting, because you still want that stomach skin to make your flap, to make your mat, right? You want all that extra width that you have to be able to set a quarter or to set something down. You don't want to cut it short, because some guys do the gutless method where they leave like a trough of fur up the center of the belly so they don't have to worry about puncturing it. But then you
I
lose.
can see why.
Yeah, but then you lose that mat.
A foot by 4 or 5 feet, which is a lot.
It's very interesting. So
Yeah.
we can move on.
All right, your weapons. So we're going to get into your bow first. So what broadheads are you going to be shooting at the elk? What kind of arrows are you going to be shooting? What poundage is your bow? Let's go in that order first.
Sure. So I'm taking my Matthews VXR. It's 31.5 axle to axle. I got the 75-pound draw mods, and with them maxed out, when I put it on the scale, I'm just over 77 pounds at peak draw weight. My arrows are the Gold Tip Pierce series. They're 300s. So they're solid arrows. They're heavier than normal. I've got an aluminum outsert, and then one of the really cool things that Gold Tip has is that the inserts themselves, they have, if you ever look at one, they have the threads for your broadhead or your field point, but on the back end too, there's threads for their weight system. So you can buy weighted systems that actually screw into the back of your insert, and I glued those in. I got brass and I added an extra 10 grains in the front just to give me a little bit extra FOC. My veins, for the past several years, I've switched to a longer vein. It just seems to work well for me. They seem to stabilize well. I have good tears through paper. They're a little bit.
Those AAE veins that you have, or
the ones that and they don't make them anymore. So if you guys follow me personally, you'll see I put out a request for help finding some, but it's the Boeing X veins in the 3-inch version. 3.5 just is a little bit too much drag for what I want, and the 2 1/4s have a really short profile. So the 3-inch seem to work well. They're about as tall as a blazer vein, but quite a bit longer. It's just shield cut. So they're pretty rigid, and like I said, they stabilize well. I put a reflective 5-inch wrap on the back end of my arrow, and what I'm going to be tipping it with to do the damage is going to be the NIP Hellraisers. So it's a fixed broadhead that is actually, it's a complete metal broadhead, so it's not a replaceable blade. It's the whole thing is made of the same continuous carbon steel. I will admit though, it took me some time to tune them. And it's something for us. We've always shot mechanicals. We've had huge success with mechanicals, with whitetail game and smaller. But after talking to several people, and again, I'm leaning on my buddy Shane Jones for experience. I mean, he not only hunts these all the time, but he takes out dozens of elk hunters a year. Yep. And he just says time and time again, he's like, even on a poor shot, the fixed blades seem to be more lethal. And he's like, it just comes down to 1 hole versus 2, man. And we've talked about that. That's what ultimately made us switch. Now these arrows, coincidentally, I didn't create this arrow build for this elk hunt. It just happened several years ago when I decided I wanted to change what I was doing with my bow and how it performed, and it works well. So my entire arrow weight, all things said and done, is around that 525 mark. Some guys like the Ranch Fairy and even Corey, like they really think you should have a little bit heavier of a setup. But considering I'm 29.5 draw and I've got, a heavier poundage than most guys, I'm pretty confident with what it's going to deliver. It's going to be able to do everything I need it to. It's going to have tons of energy. And with that fixed 3-blade head, it should be no problem for me to pass through an elk.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's a pretty good segue, honestly, just talking about the penetration factor and the broadheads you're selecting and your arrow build and the fact that it's heavy, the fact that you're pulling on a poundage. Let's talk about a frontal shot. So elk is different. The reason that, I guess, a little side story, the whole reason that I found Corey Jacobson was One of my favorite podcasts, which is called the Gritty Podcast, which is something that Brian Call does. It's a Western-based hunting podcast, and he actually works out of the Mountain Ops headquarters. Very good hunter, very intelligent man. He has this guy on, and semi-frequently the guest's name is Corey Jacobson. So I looked this Corey Jacobson guy up, and come to find out he's the 10 or 15-time elk calling champion of the United States or something like that, like RMEF, which is Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Caller of the Year, something like that. So I look him up on YouTube. One of the first videos that I see on his YouTube channel, which is called Elk 101, is him and a bunch of guys debating on whether or not the frontal method is ethical and whether or not a frontal shot should be taken. And he brought up the fact that elk are different than every other game because you're calling an elk into your position just like a turkey. The only difference is a turkey weighs 30 pounds and you can break
hunt them with a shotgun.
Yeah, and you can break its neck with a shotgun. But an elk, you cannot break an elk's neck with a shotgun, I guess, unless it was standing right over you. And you're calling them to your position, so most likely an elk could potentially come in frontal to you, like to your position when he's cutting the distance. So he's talking about this frontal shot and this thing called the thoracic opening, which is apparently where for ungulates, which is a white-tailed deer, elk, red stag, things in that family of animals, that's where the neck attaches to the shoulders and kind of that brisket area. And he was saying that, and then he showed like 2 or 3 clips of him shooting an elk frontal in the thoracic opening and burying it. And he's like, usually they die within 15 or 20 seconds. And he's got videos of him just slapping elk at like 10 yards, coming in frontal, mid-bugle, just whoop, and they stop bugling. And then they run off and they flip over like 10 or 15 seconds later. And he puts it right in their frontal on them, which for a lot of people, like Matt and Jesse killed a whitetail frontal.
Yep. Same thing, though. They rattled him in.
Called him into their position.
They were on the ground.
10 yards away, and Matt drilled him in the thoracic opening, and he went off and died shortly thereafter. But that's another controversy, I guess, in and of itself, is whether or not a frontal shot is ethical. I say if you're confident in your setup and you're close enough, I think it's an ethical shot. You just have to make the shot.
We talked about it a little bit in the controversy, being opportunistic or not. But like Corey said, and he even coincidentally, while you heard him cut off these bugles, that he prefers if they're frontal while they bugle, and it's because they lift their chin up. When they bugle, they raise their head to push, and like when they do that, boom, opens it all
and
up.
Exposes,
Yeah. So, what are you asking if I will take one?
Front? With your bow. Let's say that there is one that comes in and he's like between 10 and 30 yards frontal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you listen to the experts. I haven't done this, and I have to go off of people who I revere and trust. Corey, I've never met him, but is one of the guys that is one of the best. And he's confident in it. My arrow with the FOC and the momentum that I have, I mean, it'll bury it right in there. And if that's the shot that I'm given, I'm going to take it. I mean, plain and simple.
Sure.
Is that the shot that I want? No.
Yeah.
But it's going to be situational. And like you said, if we call a bull in and he's, the guy calling is behind me 30 yards and this bull is walking straight through me, doesn't even know I'm there. I'm drawn back and it's like you said, 30 yards or under. Absolutely. Yeah. Center it and just send it.
Okay. So that kind of takes care of the archery side of it. That was the one archery question I had for now. And I'll get back to it in a little bit later in the episode, but let's talk about your gun. So you're building a gun similar to Shane, our friend, big gnarly rifle with a badass scope on top of it. So what rifle did you pick? And then we'll go from there.
So yes, I'm bow hunting. Chris and Jeff are gun hunting. In the later part of the hunt, I'll have the ability to buy a rifle land voucher if I'm unsuccessful with my bow. Would prefer not to. They're expensive, but I'm building a rifle. It'll be one that we need anyway, Yeah. So this is a Browning X-Bolt Hell's Canyon Long Range McMillan series chambered in 300 PRC. So this is a round. It was either between this or the 30 Nosler, and it really became something I did research with. And even though Shane pushed me towards the Nosler, I really am intrigued with this round. And I'm shooting a 225 grain bullet at 4,000 feet
that's
a
big.
second.
It's bigger than our muzzle loader bullet.
And it's fast. It's over twice as fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Hornady Premier Match bullet. It's got the ELDX tip. It's a boat-tailed bullet, so it's a very long projectile, and it carries its weight really well. It's a flat shooting gun. I put a Timney featherweight trigger in it, and it's at 1.6 pounds to the break. Thing breaks like a carrot. There's no creep, no travel. It's a single stage trigger. It's got a 26-inch tube on it, and I just ordered an APA fat bastard brake for it. So I'll put that on the end of it to help keep the muzzle down, and it doesn't kick bad. It kicks. It's a Magnum. The 300 PRC is the largest unbelted Magnum cartridge that's produced right now, but it is, I would say, less of a kick than a 20 gauge 3-inch slug. So it's pretty manageable considering what we're pushing. And then for the optics, I went with a Maven RS4 scope. It's a 5-30 power with a 56 millimeter objective. It is an MOA scope, so it's a minute of angle adjustment. And then I went with the Browning. I paired the Browning gun with the Browning base, and I went with Night Force rings. So, I mean, this was an investment all in itself, and it was, it's a kind of a buy once, cry once mentality. This hopefully will be the first of many hunts that me and you and Logan or any of us get to go on. So this is kind of the gun that will be the gun that we always grab and go to. I wanted to build it the right way. I wanted to use really nice stuff when I put it together. And like I said, I may not even use it on this trip, but for anything in the future, I wanted this to be the rifle that is, we're going out west for animal anything, and I can kill them out to 1,000 yards. And I wanted a gun that would honestly outperform me as a shooter, as a marksman. So without going too crazy, I could have went with a Cooper, or I could have went with a Christensen or a Gunworks, but I mean, we're talking about a $5,000 rifle before you put anything else on it. So this gun, like I said, this gun will do better than I will be able to behind it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's kind of what Shane got into a couple episodes ago, was typically, your Midwesterners that go out there with their 3x9 scopes or their,
around here,
coyote rifles and whatever to go shoot antelope or to go shoot mule deer or whatever, or their 243s or something, because an American whitetail, like a 100 grain bullet will take a muley down.
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of people that don't see that as an investment as well. Like the gun, they just think, okay, I've got a rifle, I can use this. I'm going to invest in the hunt itself. Whereas you also went and were like, okay, if I ever go caribou hunting 10 or 15 years down the road, this will be able to take it. If I go grizzly hunting or black bear hunting, this will be able to take it. Ram, take it.
Moose,
antelope, for sure.
Right.
Any whitetail, any mule deer.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's it. Yep. And it's just
elk, stag.
And I kind of, is, even though I have, like I said, I mean, it wasn't a cheap gun to put together, but man, I mean, it would be really cool to be able to give this to Jesse or Matt and say, hey, take good care of her, but use it,
Yeah.
if they do something, because we talked about that with Shane as an added expense to a trip, and it's kind of like, well, now I got it knocked out of the way.
For future trips.
Right. And once it's doped and dialed in, like, man, the load development's there. It's like, boom.
Like 30 power too.
Yeah.
Like think about how much power that is, guys. That is
all the power.
Huge. I mean, just compared to like a standard shotgun scope, that's 7 or 9 power typically for a person that's in the Midwest. That's 3 times the amount of magnification power.
Yeah.
The antelope, the Creedmoor, what do you
16.
16 power, so it's almost.
And I remember,
double.
I just know when we like were putting that all together, it's like, man, we were blown away. We're like, this is so cool.
Like, wow, we can shoot out to 300 or 400 or 500 yards now with this gun confidently.
Yeah. So
whereas with this gun, you'll be able to 500 yards is going to be like clap, 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 clap. Like
hopefully, yeah. That's what
that's
what I want, right? It's a gun that's like, man, 500 yards is now
200.
Yeah, it's the shot that I'm comfortable taking as a hunter. Like I can ethically kill this now at 500 yards. That's what'd you range it at? 640. Okay. Set the dope and rest, breathe, focus, and send it. And that's when you have confidence in your equipment, it just adds an element of you as a hunter, like with the bow, the way that it's tuned and I've got it shooting and I'm shooting, a minimum 25 arrows every day. Now that's my regiment minimum. And it's like when you have that confidence in your equipment, it really does help you mentally as an outdoorsman. I mean, I just know, in our younger years, in our early years of hunting, we weren't, and it's like, we really didn't focus on our equipment enough and we didn't invest in our equipment enough. And I remember like the first years of us shotgun hunting by ourselves, I would think to myself, I would rather have my bow right now than guns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm more, that was when we had cheap pump guns and just
smooth bore light 12 shotguns with a sabot slug. Yep.
Yeah. And it's
no
like,
sights.
I'm gun hunting because I have to be, that's the season and not having that confidence sucks.
Yep.
But like with our 212 now, it's like, dude, if a deer's in the field within
250,
yeah, watch out because I know this is going to do it.
And it's a slug gun.
And then if you miss a shot, it's on you. Yep. And that's a lot easier.
That's the way I would like it to be. Yeah. I don't ever want it to be a question. I want to just say, pull the trigger. Oh shit, I missed him. Not pulled shit, it. or is my scope messed up? Did I crack the glass? Or my rings tight? Blah blah blah.
I've never shot this far. I don't know where it hits. I'm going to take a Hail Mary.
Was my peep side twisted? I felt something like weird with my bow. Like it's all know.
Because when it's confident, it becomes a part of you. Like you pull it out and you get ready for the shot. There is no second guessing. There's no thinking. It's just like you said. Mm-hmm. Set the pin,
nothing else.
Set your dope, whatever it is, and then from there it's muscle memory.
Yep.
So,
okay. Well, that's a little bit about the gun. The expectations of your rifle, we kind of touched on that. So So let's say it comes down to like the last day of your hunt, and you've not had an opportunity with your bow. You crack out the rifle and you consider buying that landowner voucher or what have you. What's a comfortable shot that you'd be willing to take at an elk given the performance of the gun?
So around here, the furthest that I can shoot with the crops in and everything is 600 yards at the Mile and Gun Club. And that'll be probably my marker, which that's a long ass ways, dude. And that's I get it, talking to some of them boys out west, that's about half is what some of those guys have confirmed kills or something. But, yeah, 600 that's a good shot. I would be comfortable doing it, and I don't want to break that. If I had the ability to shoot at 800 yards quite often, and I had the ability to actually, instead of running a calculation, to actually put it on paper, take the measurements, and like, this is where my gun hits that far, then I would do that. Because as I've learned long range firearms and shooting, the longer you go, the more you have to be freaking spot on, because like a half MOA at 800 yards is a big freaking difference. Is a huge deal. Mm-hmm. A half MOA at 600 yards is a huge deal. Like a half MOA at 100 yards, that's nothing. We're talking about a half inch.
Yep.
But like when you get out that far, you're talking about feet.
Yeah.
And like that's a difference between a kill or not. So that's where you just gotta make it happen. So when the crops get out, and if
gotta know your equipment.
Yeah, the corn gets picked around here, and we got a downtime. We want to reach out and see what this thing can do. Sure, we're probably gonna have to ask about 3 or 4 landowners to make sure we can shoot across cornfields. But but that's it. So
that's a good point. So we talked about the bow, the rifle. the optics on the rifle, the confidence in your expectations of the rifle. So let's talk about your actual gear that you're wearing now. Let's start with your feet. So you got a deal.
I
recently.
did. Oh man, I got a smoking deal. I was talking to these guys out west, and again, you've heard us talk about them before, but Sandy Hills, they've been, and we're not even hunting with them, and how incredibly helpful they've been has been pretty amazing. Because I don't know, and we've developed, I will call it a friendship. Like, I freaking love those guys out there, and they started rattling off all these high-end name boots, and I'm like looking at them, I'm like, dude, Shane, like it's like $500 pair of boots, man. And he's like, oh yeah, but they're great, like they'll feel like a slipper. Like you'll be able to do dances up in the mountains. I'm like, Shane, I like $500 pair of boots.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. And he started giving me some like other options that were more economical. And Danner came up, and several other ones, which Jeff got a pair of Danners, and they're nice boots. And one of the ones that Shane really revered was Crispy's. And Crispy's has a very good name. They're made in Italy. A lot of Western guys just love them, right? And I was in Shields in Iowa City, coming back from a meeting in Coralville. Got to stop at Shields, right? It's amazing. And I guess and it makes sense, right? There's probably not a big market for Crispies in the Midwest.
No.
So they had all of their Crispies like marked way down. And I'm like, holy smokes, it's like perfect. Like, what are the chances, So they had like 4 different pairs of Crispies left. That was it. And there was a 11, a 13, a 13, and then like a 10. So the 10's out of the game. I usually wear a size 12. And then it was I don't know them exactly, but the one that I have are like the Wyoming GTXs, I believe. And there was a couple other ones, and the 13s they're really big. Which sometimes how it goes. Mm-hmm. So I come down to the 11, and I'm like, man, this is all or nothing, And I put them on, they fit great. They fit awesome. And the price tag on them originally was $379, marked down to $199. So
That's big.
That was big. And I'll be honest with you too. So I went over to the guy, and I asked, like, these are all your Crispies? And he's like, yeah. He's like, we're getting rid of them. And he scanned them, and he's like, yeah, these are the last ones of all of them. And I'm like, I really need a 12, which I've already tried them on. Mm-hmm. So Shields guy, I'm sorry, I duped you. But I'm like, is this the best you can do? Because it's really like a size under I need. And he like went over to the computer, he looked, he's like, $175. I'm like, sold. So I picked up a pair of Crispies for brand new.
For about 60% off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, come on. Money saved is money earned. And they wanted to get rid of him anyway. So I did the guy a favor, really.
Yeah.
And he, if he didn't want to sell them for that price, he wouldn't have. And I would have bought them for $200. So I'll be honest. But, like, they're awesome. So far, I've been wearing them all around. I mean, they're lightweight. They're pretty comfortable as far as like the break-in period. I mean, there really wasn't one. There never was a spot where they rubbed or they blistered. It did take me a little bit to get used to. They're higher on the ankle than my work boots. So that, I think the uncomfort was just there for me not having that. But my ankles are really supported well. And that's my boot. And then moving up, I'm going to hunt in the Badlands Calor outfit, the suit, their jacket and pants. They're actually, designed for like spot and stalk and mountain terrain. The material is really abrasion resistant. It's water resistant. They have built-in, padding in the knees and in the elbows. So if you got to get down and, be extra stealthy, it's going to work. I'm going to use the Algus neck gaiter to cover my face, and then I'll be topped with, one of my favorite hats to go from there. So, yeah, that's what I'll be wearing when I'm pursuing these.
Okay, how about your pack?
So I should know the name of this pack. What is the name of that pack?
The Sacrifice LS.
The Sacrifice LS. So Grant got me this, and it's a Badlands pack. It's crazy comfortable. Like the way that the back is structured.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna breathe better than anything because it's not a metal back. It's not a metal framed pack, but
it's vented though.
It is very vented. Because I've been playing around with it, and I like threw my bow in it with the boot and everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean there's a solid like inch now with the pack not being loaded down. Like I don't have 50 pounds or 100 pounds of like
elk meat.
Right, but as far as like when I'm be working and hunting, if you will, there'll be a lot of airflow, which that's always a part that gets hot. All of our backpacks previously just had a cloth back, or maybe even some that has some of that foam padding, but nothing like this. So I'm excited. I got it test fitted and packed. I'm going pretty light. I'm just gonna have like a water bladder in there, headlamp, and then my knives. And probably I'll put my elk bugle if I use it.
Get you some backcountry food meals. Some I put those in there.
So I talked to the guide, and he's like, you can bring meals if you want, but he's like, really, I prefer to have like big breakfast, big dinner type thing, because
stay on the mountain, keep going.
Yeah. So he's like, snacks are great.
Makes
he's
sense.
like jerky, protein bars, gummies, like the electrolyte gummies, the whole shebang. He's like, they pack really well, and he's like, you just pop them out and you eat them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'll be doing. Because at our spike camp, the cook is like, we'll get into this, but like the cook is like, they just gawked about him. I don't know.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll have Emerald up there. So, but no, it's all Dutch oven cooking, and they're like, dude, this guy is like out of this world good. So
that sounds awesome. The Sacrifice LS is that pack. I've taken it out to Wyoming with me 5 trips out there, and it's badass. It's been great every time. I usually put about 60 pounds in it, and I'll put my camera gear in there as well when I go out and fly fish and stuff and do my backcountry camping trip with a couple of my teacher buddies. But it's a good pack. So if you guys are interested in checking out like that mid-grade, like a pack that's going to be big, like it's, I believe, about 40 liters in size, and then it's got some auxiliary compartments that gets it up to the 50s, low 50s. It's not going to be like that 100-liter pack, like a meat hauler shelf pack, but it's a good utility pack for going out and spending all day on the mountain or multiple days.
And it's comfortable.
And it's super, super comfortable. So now that we've covered the pack, the gear that you're wearing, the weapons that you could kill with, let's talk about your calls. Are you bringing any calls?
Yeah, I am. I am no expert, right? Year one, and we'll see what I can get done. I'm using Wayne Carlton calls. Hunter Specialty makes them, and they're not that different than a turkey as far as the way that they look and the way that they feel in the mouth. They're diaphragms, but the pressure and the mouth manipulation is way different. So I think I'm ahead of the curve because I've had, I don't know, I've been hunting turkeys forever, and that's almost all that I use are diaphragms. So I had that idea of like the pressure that I had to make with my mouth, but even like bugling, you can do like the high pitch bugle or young bugles, but then to get that true, when you think of an elk bugle like that, how there's that resonance in there, you have to growl while you push air. I mean, you do, like, you can't do it with just your tongue and your air. You have to use your chest and your diaphragm to like growl and push air. And it's something you have to learn to do, right? Because you can just growl, like, but to do it and push air at a certain pressure to get that reed to hit the note, it's like, so, wife's calling me. And so I don't know. I'm going to have him. If he lets me have at it, sure, whatever,
Let her rip.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. Bugling is easier for me than cow calling. And Shane was laughing at that because like cow calling is like yelping for turkeys. Like, how can you not cow call? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the reeds or what, but like I feel like I can bugle better than I can cow call. So I've got, I got 3 weeks to keep blowing on it, annoying my wife and my neighbors, and keep practicing at it, but I don't think I'll be leading the charge when it comes to calling. It might be one of those things where
let the guy do his job.
Yeah, and he'll tell me,
how about you swallow that call and never use it again?
Yeah, that grunt tube. Yeah, no, we'll leave that at the camp today.
Yeah. So that kind of rounds us out of your gear, actually. So let's talk about your preparation. So on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being like, yep, I'm highly prepared. What are you?
Physically, I'm like at a 9.5. You know, I feel like I there's always more you can do, so I can't say a 10. But I'm in great shape as far as my body strength and my cardiovascular system. Starting in about June, I started to really emphasize running. And then once July hit, I put a marker of like 20 miles a week minimum. And then when August hit, I moved it up to 25. So, I'm running anywhere from like 2 to like 5 miles a day just to hit that mark. And a combination of like, the longer runs, I'm pacing myself, and my shorter runs, I'm hitting like that 6 or sub 6 minute mile pace. My legs, I've been doing a lot more training with legs. Nobody likes legs.
No.
Well, most people don't like legs. So something you just have to incorporate and make sure that, I've got that good base underneath me. And now I've been starting to jog with like a weighted pack. So I got one of our old hunting packs. I put a 40-pound sandbag in there and just jogging with it just to feel like, that kind of the pulling on the back and of the shoulders. And I'll be honest, like it did hurt my lower back for the first several days. You're just not used to it. So again, my physical condition, I'm pretty ready, very ready. And then as far as like my mental state, I'd say like an 8 out of 10. And right now is the time where, going through and double checking and overanalyzing and overcomputing everything. That's the way we are, me and you. And, planning our travel on the way out there, and then travel on the way home, and like, do we have enough cooler space, and like, how are we going to configure the truck? And so I'm very hypertensive on that. And Jeff and Chris are coming with me as well. And they're busy with work, and they're like, dude, just relax. I'm like, we need to like do a dry run pack of the truck to make sure we got all the shit in there and it fits and we're good. Like if we come down to the day before and like we can't fit everything in, then what are we going to do? And they're like, dude, it'll work. It's fine. And so I'm kind of at that heightened awareness point where I'm like checking everything. I got the cash set aside, I got this and I got that, and here's all my gear, and like got it all out, and I put it in the pack and make sure it fits, and then take it out again and like change all my batteries so they're fresh back, so just constantly is like mentally taxing. And I'm hoping that when we leave, it's just like, I'm done. I did all the sweating early. So that's where I'm at now. I'm excited. I'm super excited. The only thing that literally, and this is like, I don't know if it's arrogant or cocky or over optimistic, but I haven't like thought of how would I get him mounted, But let's not put the cart in front of the horse here.
Yeah, go kill one first.
Yes.
Your experience with elk 101. So I wanted to touch on this. This is cool. Like I said, I found Corey Jacobson via a podcast that I listened to called the Gritty Podcast. Figured out that he has this online elk hunting course. Got Garrett the course for his birthday. So I wanted to touch on that. So you've also been like you've been studying, essentially, not just like watching YouTube videos or whatever, but you've been actually like studying.
Yeah. I mean, so Corey breaks it down really well. And, you get like a login because it's not open to the public. And when you come in, you have these like sequence of episodes or lessons, if you will. And he goes through, everything. He goes from like elk and the way that their kind of like life cycle is throughout the season. He talks about like all the calls, which is really a big thing, like why they make the sound they do and what your response should be, how to call. Like he goes into different areas and terrains. Like it's not just, because we're hunting in Idaho, and Idaho is different than Colorado, and Colorado is different than Wyoming, and so on and so forth. Now they're all Rocky Mountain elk, but just understanding different terrains and limitations and so on and so forth. He goes over things that, some people might overlook, which are like thermals and wind patterns on the mountains and how they change. He talks about gear. He talks about just breaks down everything. And they are, you say studying, but they're just really, really educational videos and shorts.
Sure. And
you can watch them or skip ahead after you've watched them before and like revisit one area or not. There's no quizzes or tests or anything like that. It's just, it's as much as you want to retain and watch and soak up. So
sure.
It's been great. It's one of those things where if you watch the whole series, I feel like it'll answer 99% of the questions that you would have. So
that's pretty awesome. So yeah, if you're interested in that, It's called Elk 101, or if you go to just search up Corey
University
Jacobson
Elk, yeah.
or Elk University. Yep, you'll be able to find that. So that kind of brings us to our next point, which is, the next question that I have is that outfitted versus DIY question. So what's your reason for choosing the outfitter that you chose and doing that rather than like a backpack drop-in kind of public land unit, non-selected draw or anything like that?
So 3 big reasons. And the first and absolute biggest big reason is the success rate. I'm 100%. You're going hunting. You're not going nature walking. I mean, I get it. I don't want to be chastised as one of those guys that has to kill to make memories, but it's the reason we're going, and like, I don't know. I don't know how else to say that, but I want to go out. I want to be, everybody wants to be successful. Like, you book a hunt to go be successful. And for me, the overhead of going with a trophy, a quality outfitter, is worth it to me. This is something that I'm not going to be able to do every year. This is something I'm not going to be able to do every other year. But it's like, I wanted to put myself in the situation that yielded me the best opportunity. The other reason why I went with an outfitter is the ability to acquire tags. Other than Colorado, and even in Colorado, I don't know any places really where you can get over-the-counter rifle bull tags and even archery tags in a lot of states and a lot of units. So going with somebody that has that ability to get you a guarantee tag, even if it costs money, again, is another reason. And then the third thing is just it's the time factor. We've talked about this before. If it was a scenario where me and you could go out west and we could take 20 days, the hearts of archery season to hunt the bugle or the rut, yeah, that would be great. And we'd give it a hell of an effort, and we'd probably learn a lot and eventually become, semi to very successful at it. But we just don't have that luxury. We don't live there. You know what I mean? It's the same way if you got somebody out west that's listening to this podcast and they're thinking about coming to Illinois or Iowa or Kansas, like in Iowa, you do have the ability to party hunt with people. And I know that some outfitters get away with that by allowing guys to come in and hunt the first year that they apply, but a lot of guys don't draw their tags the first time that they hunt, and so on and so forth. And it's like, well, they have the ability to hunt the rut of the elk. We have the ability to hunt the rut of the whitetail here. So vice versa, if they were to come out here, well, I'd want to go the best time of the year with the time that I can have the best weapon to hunt it if I want to, and then go with somebody that's really good, that has that consistent success, and that's going to shoot quality animals. So I don't know. I'm being very open and very honest. Like, we chose this place to go because we wanted success. Like, it wasn't cheap. It wasn't definitely economically friendly, but I mean, but being able to hunt the year that we wanted to and not worry about trying to stack up points or draw, and all of us draw, and to be able to
that's the other thing. It's one thing to go out hunting by yourself, if you draw a tag, but the odds of 3 or 4 out-of-staters drawing a good unit, a good to above average unit out there is
perfect example was like
fairly low.
Was like last year, four people went out hunting to Sandy Hills for antelope, and this is like a 98% private unit, so extremely, extremely high draw odds. And Logan didn't get a tag; she had to buy a land voucher.
Yep.
And it's like, man, well, put yourself in that shoes. Like, you and your buddies plan a hunt, and then like, oh, you didn't draw, and you can't get a land voucher. Like, see you guys. Call me.
Have fun at home.
Right. Like that kind of is a bummer. And then, so it's like guilty on the guys that are going, and, the person at home gets really the short straw, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, I
don't know. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just saying that's why we did it. That's why we went there. And, I don't know. That is what it is. Like I said, if we had unlimited time, that would be something. Or if we had different situations like we do at home where we can hunt for 3.5 months to get it done, that's a different situation. But when you condense it down to 7 or 9 days, like this, and it's like, dude, you're trying to fit a lot in just a short time. And if you have the ability and if you can save the money and if you can do it, then go with a place that's quality and go with a place that you think you're going to have a good opportunity.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with what you just said. I feel like right now, though, like public land's really, really cool.
And there's
DIY
a lot of it out west. I get that.
Yep.
But I've never hunted elk. I just told you, like, the only time I've seen one was through a pair of binoculars in South Dakota in the spring.
Right.
Like, I don't know much about hunting them. And it's,
I know. I just feel like it's something that people don't open their eyes to. Like all the factors that you just said. Can all of my friends also get a tag that I want to go hunting with? No. Is it a 18-hour drive away?
22.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got food and gas and all the time. Like most modern, most guys that are whitetail hunters in today's age, unless you're like in a trade where if you don't get paid and don't go to work, you just take it in the shorts. Most people don't get 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of personal vacation that they go and burn on an elk hunt. So I totally understand the time limitations factor.
And that's also, we talked about like the rifle and like that a bit, and it's, I don't know, that it also plays into why like where we're going is because I do have that ability to break out the rifle the last couple days if it comes down to it. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I mean, I'm sorry for all the public guys that are diehard. I get it, and I tip my hat off to you. I just don't live out there where you do. I mean, so it's just and here's the real root. In our early years, we got me personally, and you too. We got snake bit really bad by some places, and that taste of coming home, like, and you just feel like shit. You do, like. You know what I mean? It would be different. I haven't had that experience where you had like
Matt. He went on a $5,600 elk hunt and didn't see an elk.
That's what I'm saying. Like it would be different if we had an experience where it's like you went out and you had an amazing time and you had an opportunity and like you blew it. Because like here, you draw blood, that's your hunt. Period. The end. Don't pass go. Don't go. Whatever. Like if the guy, like somebody else is out hunting or whatever, and they see it, like yeah, they'll radio in or whatever and try to get you out there or there's no opportunity. But that is like not. Don't bank on that.
Yep.
Jesus, come on. But I mean, like, the times that we come home and it's a bad time is a total grind and you're pissed off and you're mad and you're tired the whole time and you're like, you really want it to happen and it just doesn't happen.
Feel defeated.
And you feel, and then you got like a whole 20-hour ride home and then you got all the questions from everybody when you get home, like, well, why didn't it work? Or what happened? And this is like, you got to tell this story, the same shitty story, like 15 times. And finally you're just like, shut the fuck up. I didn't kill anything, okay? It didn't work out. Obviously, I went out on a hunt. I didn't go out on a camping trip. Like, I didn't come back with an animal. Why? Doesn't matter, but it didn't happen. So stop asking these goddamn questions. I know you care and you want to hear about it but it didn't work. And like, that just pulls the life out of you. Mm-hmm. So going on to the first question that you asked, like you have this excitement, like you're the beginning of our hunting fall season could end on a like Mount Everest high note or like Hell's Canyon low note, and it's like, I don't want to say it all depends on the place that you go, but Shane Jones said it. If you spend, usually if you spend good money, you get a good experience. Like
you get what you pay for
more times than not. So, but here's a little little live news. Cody, Whitetail Legacy podcast, just told me that he had 2 cameras stolen off public. How awesome is that? I am sorry for you, dude, and I hope you find him. And when you do, you give him a swift kick to the nuts.
Oh, I hope
God, that sucks. God.
That's the one of the reasons right there why I'm on
why we have leases. But anyway.
Why we got leases.
I'm sorry for you, man. Whitetail Legacy podcast, we said it before. Those guys are absolutely amazing. I mean, it sucks that it happens to them, but those 2 guys are like made of pure gold. I mean, yep. I'm serious, and it sucks. And this close to season 2 is just, I know which piece of public they've been talking about, and it's, I don't know. They were excited for it. They had some good deer on it, and it's like somebody probably knew came in 3 weeks before season, and I plucked them. So anyway,
All right, back to it.
Back to elk.
Your goals for your elk hunting trip. I mean, the number one goal, bringing a big old set of antlers back in the truck bed home with you to Illinois for us to look at till we die.
Mm-hmm.
What's your second, third, fourth goal? What are your other goals for your trip with Jeff and Chris beyond, obviously, what we're thinking about, which is killing an elk, killing your first elk?
So I don't know if it'll happen or not just because of the way that the hunt is, but I hope that at least 2 out of 3, like I'll be able to be there. I'm not sure if we'll be able to, there's no way we'll all be able to hunt together.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm spoiled and I'm greedy when it comes to wanting to experience that stuff. None of us have hunted elk. So God, I mean, I want to be there when it happens naturally, and I want to film it when it happens too, right? I want to share it with everybody.
Yep.
So to be able to record this memory is absolutely number 2, if not right next to number 1 on the list. And then it's 9 days, but it's going to go by really fast. I just want to make sure another goal of mine is just to enjoy it. You work so hard and you do everything that you can to do it. Like sometimes you get caught up in being so driven to succeed that you forget to I just hope that, we're back at spike camp because I set up a canvas spike camp, and I told you, I talked to the cook is amazing. And it's we're not going to smell like,
Oh, you'll smell like shit.
Oh yeah. But it's I hope that there's just that every night, we come back and we're dog shit tired because we've been humping up and down the mountains, and the food probably tastes delicious because you're starving. He may not be a great cook.
Maybe that's not why. Maybe you roll up into camp and they're just like, dude, I don't know what everyone's raving around. They got hot dogs for us, man. What the hell are you talking about?
These are the best hot dogs I've ever had.
So they gave you 3 hot dogs and a Cliff Bar, and that was it?
You know what I mean? Just to sit there and reminisce and be like, man, we're camped out at 67,000 feet now, or 6,700 feet in elevation. The stars are incredible. I'm sitting by a campfire. One of us or one of the other guys shot an elk today, and just to waller in it, just to just hopefully hold on to it. That's kind of like a goal, because it seems like I said, it always goes by so quick, even when we whitetail hunt, man. And that's the beauty of filming it. That's why it's a big goal of mine, is to capture all of it. Because just like Teeter last year, that was so much, but it's just like that. It's gone, boom, gone. It happens so quick. And
that's what I like about filming. We have never said this before, but man, I really, really, really like how video doesn't lie. I'll give you an example that all of you guys know of. So 2 years ago, Chris Brackett got caught poaching 2 whitetail in Indiana, a certain state, and his cameraman taped him, and he seems like a really piece of shit human being for all the things he said to his cameraman, and obviously poaching the deer and X, Y, and Z. So he pretty much dug his grave in the industry and dug his grave at the outdoors when he did that move. But what I like is about the video is, we've talked about this before and time again. I feel like every time somebody tells me a story about hunting somewhere, sometime, the story changes, maybe just by 0.5%, but it changes a little bit. The details kind of run together and blur. But what I like about video is it's always there. It's always proof, because you know what you call Chris Brackett's whole snafu that happened to him 2 years ago without video? You call that an accusation. But video, that shit's proof, man.
I'm not even talking. Yeah, sure. That kind of.
You're going to be able to you're going to be able to relive that forever. Exactly how it happened.
Right.
That's what I like about video.
So, yeah.
Anybody can talk about hunting.
Well, it's just so cool too. I don't know. It's just, it'll be really cool to come back and show you guys and show you all the pictures and everything else that comes with it. They say if a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a video is worth 1,000 pictures.
Yep.
So
that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather? You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 1. Would you rather shoot a legal bull on the last day with your bow? We're talking barely legal, or shoot a 280-inch bull with your rifle on the first day within 15 minutes of first light?
Oh, with the bow, for sure. Legal bull is a 4-point.
Legal bull last day.
The the outfittering place that we're going, they really want you to shoot a minimum of a 5x5. So
Jesus.
I mean, it's a 55,000 acre ranch, private. It's managed, I mean, incredibly well. Butts up to the Utah border, so which is a private or a public, unit on Utah. So I mean, it's about as good as you want. I mean, just I don't know them, and that's one weird thing. Google poo poo on you. Like I've been trying to like research, like if you type in like 300-inch elk, like you don't know what it is. Like
Yeah,
you
I
just
don't
get
know
all
what
these
one looks
pictures, and I'm like, there's no way that's 300 because like some of them are like whoa big, and then it's like, you know what I mean? Like I know what like a 140 whitetail is. Like around here, it's like it's 140-inch minimum, and you get docked or whatever on some of these premium whitetail outfitters, right? Like you have to pay if you shoot smaller. I know what that looks like relatively. I know
Right.
like a 150, but like elk, it's like okay. Once it's like 300, they all look huge to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Unless
Like when
it's
you
like
hit
the
a
mega.
165-inch whitetail,
It's
everything
like-
above 165 is just megalodon,
Yeah.
huge whitetail.
And it's for me, it's like 300, and then the next step is like 400. It's like 300, and then fucking like huge, like it's just like lumped into one. Yeah, so it's again talking to Shane, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that one's got good fronts and the mass and this." And it just they break them down just like we break down whitetails, right?
Yeah.
And it's just something I don't have a lot of experience in. So
So you'd shoot the legal
Legal bull.
bull with your bow. All right. Number 2, you hear your first bugle ever.
mm-hmm.
He's 15 yards behind you.
And I crap.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You hold it together. No crap ejected. And it is during opening day morning.
Uh-huh.
It's still dark, and the elk sounds big. The outfitter, your guide's like, that's a big one.
15 yards?
15 yards, like that, like a turkey, like you said, but times 10.
Okay.
Lights you up, stills,
And it's dark?
shivers down your spine, the whole nine. It's dark, yeah.
Well, then we're fucked.
I know, I'm getting there. Would you rather try to hunt that elk no matter what? Or go for a 12-mile hike where 5+ elk are bugling? It's kind of like that turkey scenario. Every turkey hunter, I feel like, that we know at least, that doesn't try to reap them in a field, they'll go and put themselves in the location of the best, what I would call solo gobbler, like the best bird in the basket bird early in the morning. The one that's most killable, they'll go to him. And then once that hunt breaks down and they don't end up killing that turkey, or he pitches down the other way, then they'll go and try their luck with the other turkeys that are still gobbling. So what do you think about that? Kind of the same scenario, but for an elk. You hear lots of them bugling far away, 12 miles away. Do you hike for them, or do you play with the one that you know for a fact was really, 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 really close?
There's so many factors that I would want to know, but in a nutshell, and this is not like skirting around the question at all, but I would rely a lot on my gut. Like, what do you think, dude? Like, this guy was right here. Did we scare him? Did he smell us? Did he see us? Like, is he going to be done for the day or not? Because me personally, like a lone turkey, reversing the roles, like something that's alone to me is a lot easier to get in and kill, a lot easier to fire up.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have, for a fact, I've got 5 over there. Yes, there's more, but that's 4 more sets of eyes and probably you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know from experience. I would err on his weighted, but if it was me, I think if we didn't scare that bull, but yeah, let's go for him. Like mano y mano, you know what I mean? Like it to me, it just yields you the better opportunity to get the wind right, to get your calls right, or whatever that would be. Personally, I'm not afraid of the hike. Don't get me wrong. You want to let's go. Let's start marching. But
Kind of in the scenario, you're gonna do what your guide tells you to do.
whatever
You're
the best for me to get a shot is, I'll do it. Yep.
All right. That's probably the best answer to that question, honestly. This one's kind of tricky. I think this may be the hardest one in the batch. Would you rather eat tag soup and find 12 elk sheds?
Nope.
All right, other one, huh? So the other one says,
as
get
long as I'm
butt fucked by a gay guy in a dumpster in
And still
Colorado on your way back to...
Still shoot an elk, but still kill one.
No. So
Crap.
the first
12 elk bars, yes.
12 elk sheds, but eating tag soup, or filling your tag on the smallest possible legal bull you can kill and find no sheds.
Smallest.
Smallest legal bull. Okay. I thought that was going to be harder for you.
I mean, no. I already spent a lot of money on this tag. At least it'd be on something.
Fair enough. Well, you could get an elk cape and put it on your
The
elk
sheds?
okay.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dang, Garrett.
I
you
would
killed
contemplate the dumpster option. No, but I'm just kidding.
Jesus.
No.
Number 4. Would you rather? This is a boring one, man. Let me tell you, I am not a patient person. It's surprising that we kill whitetails.
I know. It's because we can sit there and bicker with each other.
That's true.
We'd be terrible hunters if we had to hunt alone.
Oh yeah, totally. Yep. I mean, I like going out there and having the solitude, but after day like 20 or 30 of hunting, man, oh man, let me tell you, it's a waiting mental game.
It's kind of like going to the gym. If you had a hunting buddy that you hunt with and like a workout buddy, it's like, it's like, fuck, it's Thursday. It's like, I don't want to go to the gym, but God damn it. Like Jimmy's going to be there.
Yep.
We'll get up.
Yep.
I got to get up because Grant's going to get up. And like, you know what I mean? It's just like that.
Exactly. So this is the scenario. Would you rather wait over a wallow hole all day without seeing anything till the last 15 minutes? Or go on 2 stalks. I don't tell you how anything ends, but you're going to see elk in the last 15 minutes at the wallow.
Just elk or like a bull?
I'm just saying elk. It could be a bull. It could not be. The unknown, that's what we're going for with this one.
Okay.
Would you rather wait over the wallow and not see any? You'd rather go on 2 stalks?
And here's the reason
obviously
why,
you're going on a stalk for a bull.
That's why.
Yep.
Like, and again, that turkey hunting mentality, like we're going after hopefully a bugle. I would think my opportunity would be better over a wallow if you said like, because I'm not going to sit up 70 yards off a wallow. I'm going to be within 40 yards of it. But the fact that I don't know what's coming in other than an elk is not worth the gamble.
Fair enough. Well answered. That's pretty much all for our for the guts of the episode. Anything else you'd like to add before we get into the business?
No, just at the beginning of this business end, the next podcast is going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to share it with you. It's one of the first ones, or one of the only ones that really kind of pre-plan out or whatever. So it's, I shouldn't say pre-plan out, but maybe pre-record. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sharing your little secret. We recorded it last week, so it's not like months in advance, but big news. So if you guys are listeners and followers of what we do,
especially if you've ever been to the launch party.
Yeah. So
that'll be a big one.
But other than that, I mean, anybody that's thinking about going elk hunting or anything else, if you wanna give me your advice, if you want to critique any of my methodology or gear, I am all open to it. So, you can find me on my personal page. You can hit me up in the inner circle. You can holler at me on the pages, but I'm not too not too proud. I am humble enough to admit that this is I'll be a fish out of water on the mountains, and I'm doing everything I can to get ready. So hopefully it all works out.
I think that's the important part, though, is you're doing your damnedest to make sure you're ready to rock and roll when you get out there. So our discount codes, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. If you want any of our discount codes, so you are interested in buying a new piece of Badlands gear, you want something off of Code Blue, their website, or Outdoor Edge, you guys got to hit up the Inner Circle. That's our Facebook group that Garrett made. And again, that is called the Last Breath Inner Circle. We have a lot of really great discount codes in there. 25% off Badlands gear, 20% off Code Blue, and 35% off Outdoor Edge. Our biggest news of the podcast. So our new season, every Saturday, all deer season long on our YouTube channel, we are dropping a new episode for you guys to watch from our newest season. So these are fully edited, fully produced. We showed 3 of these and then a bonus episode at our launch party, which we hosted digitally. And this coming Saturday, after this is recorded, we're going to be showing you guys part 2 of the antelope trip to Colorado before we start dropping deer hunting episodes for season. So that's going to be awesome to be able to watch all of those episodes every Thursday in 2020. For those of you guys that listen to our podcast, keep up with it pretty constantly. you know that we're launching a Throwback Thursday episode. From here on out, it's all gas, no break with those. So we've got 8 whitetails over 165 that we're going to be sharing with you guys on there. So that's going to be pretty awesome to see that. And then every Wednesday, something that we've never done before, it's called Last Breath Live, and we're bringing to you what we're doing on a weekly basis. So whether or not it be putting in a strape tree, putting in a rub, organizing our hunting gear, Garrett going elk hunting, when we kill a deer in whitetail season, we'll be able to show you that the following Wednesday. It will not be as edited and high quality as our stuff that we normally do. It'll just be taken in a POV camera off of our GoPro, but we're going to share it with you as it happens. So if Garrett, Jeff, and Chris go out there and kill some elk, then you're going to be able to watch that the following Wednesday as quickly as I can edit it. So that's going to be awesome to be able to see that. Then our newest series that we're doing with Moultrie cameras, we have over 12 years between Jesse, Matt, Garrett, and I of trail camera data, and we dive into how trail cameras have helped us put bucks on the ground. So we take a look at 13 different bucks that we've got deep trail camera history with since we've been, videotaping our hunts and filming for the last 6 years. We've got a lot of good stories on there, and those are going to air every Sunday morning. So we've got our newest episodes from our season coming Saturday, Moultrie's Image Autopsy, which is our trail camera studies, every Sunday, our video podcast every Monday, our Last Breath Live every Wednesday, and on Thursday, our Throwback Thursday episode. So thank you again for listening to the Huntcast. Want to remind you guys to hop into the Inner Circle. That's our Facebook group. Garrett, any last words before you go on your elk hunt? Because this may be the last episode that...
Yeah, I didn't think... Yeah, it might. No, just... we appreciate you guys. I mean, we said it before, we'll say it again. And if we don't catch you, if I don't talk to you, you boys better be ready for that Last Breath Live episode out west, because it's going to be hopefully a good one.
All right, everybody. Don't waste it. Thanks for listening.